Hey guys, happy Sunday. I hope everybody is doing well. Hope you can hear me. Uh, I'm currently not at my place, so uh, I'm literally on the trip right now, and I just had to quickly rush to get this started before time spills over. So that being said, I have a few things to speak about before we get going. So now that we're getting closer to the end of the year, I don't know if you guys know this. The market moves slightly differently towards the end of the year. There's less volume, more people on holidays, and you know, most of the people are just trying to rush to get their trades in and probably make a quick buck before the year ends. So uh, what I tend to normally do towards the end of the year, majority of the cases, is I pick a specific asset and I trade, because if not, you end up making so much more mistakes at the end of the year, and you don't want to end the year with a bad trading record. So that being said, when you want to trade at the end of the year, be careful. Bear in mind that there's less volume, and if you can, pick a an asset that is specifically liquid and focus on that specific asset. Okay. In my case, what I tend to do when it comes to the end of the year, I tend to look more into gold, because gold seems to be slightly much more, a little bit more steady towards the end of the year compared to any asset that I found anyway that I trade personally. And the main reason I focus on gold is because of literally this move right here. This move right here. I hope you can see my screen. Let me see if this is sharing. Okay. This move right here. Okay. And this move carries on and on till like February. So the main reason I tend to do that is mainly focus on that move, because yeah, I really do not want to mess up my profits that I've made throughout the year based on low volatility in the market. So I tend to be careful. So right now we are currently right at this stage right here, and I don't think I'm just about to load the chart now, so I haven't actually loaded. I'm just literally going to load this. So, and looking at gold so far, we haven't really looked at gold that much in the past couple of months. I think since September. Looking at gold so far, what we can see is gold has, you know, it's currently, from this point, it looks like a downtrend, but to be honest, it's still really on an uptrend. Um, a lot of people that know how I trade anyway, I had to use this trend lines and all of that stuff. But from the get-go, I just literally dived into it and look at this just to get a little bit more perspective on the asset. And it looks like it's about to go up because of if you look at the bounce, gold went up, came to the trend line, bounced away, went up, came to the trend line, and is struggling. Hopefully, bounces away and set a new high. Now, because of we have the seasonality is telling us something slightly different. Since we're right here around gold anyway, and gold has been falling for a while, so seasonality is showing that gold is most likely going to fall till about the 16th, 15th, 16th. So, which is about Wednesday, Thursday, before we then have to exit gold and start looking for our buy position. Right. So start looking for a buy position around the 22nd, 23rd, right? So that being said, let's quickly check a few things in regards to the COT report. Let's see what the COT report has for us. Let's see what the commercials are doing, if they're buying or selling gold at the moment. That will literally decide what we should do with the asset. Uh, so from the looks of it, I mean, COT report that came out on the 7th, we have yeah, it doesn't really look supportive. in any aspect. So we have them taking away positions from the long and also taking away positions from the short. And hmm, overall, if we're looking at just this indication right here, prices and net position, all we can see is it's signaling buy. Right. So that being said, ideally, what I would do in this scenario is I'll keep this on a watch list. Right. So I'm just gonna keep it on a watch list and observe how it moves because the CO2 report hasn't really given an indication of buy yet. And neither is it giving an indication of sell when we look at the recent data that's been published um, from the CFTC website. So what we can see, in fact, is if we look at the indicator itself, it's pointing towards a buy. And we know based on seasonality that the buy time isn't ready. So for that reason, I would literally keep gold on observation and just not trade it at the moment. Okay. Um, in regards to that, is there any questions in regards to this? If there's no questions, um, what I would tend to do is since I try to keep this at the end of the year at just a specific asset like gold because of the liquidity, what I can look into is probably other assets that have liquidity as well, which I personally haven't even traded that much, around this time of the year. But I can look into them and maybe, just maybe, we might be able to find something good. Or you want me to look into AED USD? Okay. If you guys want me to look into a specific asset class, you can type in the chat room. I'll look into that. Okay, so that being said, let's look into AUD USD. So I personally, as I said, I keep gold on the radar. I would not trade it at the moment, but once I see the alignment from the CO2 report and it aligns with the seasonality, then I will trade it. Ideally, I want to see buying power coming into the market, but because of the seasonality showing sell, don't be surprised if you see gold literally bottom out a little bit more, you know, uh, um, maybe this week from Monday and breaks, the trend line. I personally just use the trend line as a reference point, not really an indication to buy. So, if gold breaks in and comes down, there's possibility is going to be here. Now, when it comes to Forex asset, as I've already said, things literally move slightly different and different at the end of the year. I mean, if you go back and watch the webinars that I've done for the previous, I think 2 to 3 years, you should see the same pattern occurring around this time of the year in Forex pairs. You notice analysis tend to be slightly more different around this time of the year. And that's mainly because, you know, there's less amount of things going on in the market. So that being said, let me dive into AED USD, then I'll look into GBP USD. So let's go see what we have. Well, yeah. Speaking about GBP I'm not sure. I think it was the asset that I picked last week, and same exact issue that's happening right now. It's really not moving the same way I expected. I mean, it kind of finished last week, I think, in a loss of a few pips, not that much. I do have the position on my phone. Let me go check on my phone. I'm still in the position, even though I know that I'm meant to be out, but I don't really. Oh, actually, it didn't finish. It didn't finish in a loss. I actually finished in profit. Um, I didn't even know that because I just left the position there. Yeah, it did finish in profit, so that's fine. Cool. But initially, it looked like it was losing a lot of money, and then it just swung back into profit by the last day of the yeah, by the last trading day, which was Friday, which was the day you meant to exit. But I didn't exit on that day. I still held on to my position. So currently now it looks like it's in profit anyway. So that's fine. But normally, um, what I tend to um look at in the asset when it comes to this type of year is price is most likely different. So I want you should keep that in mind and be very careful when you take your trades. So let's go to AED USD first. Let's see what the COT report is saying. As we're looking at this, okay, AED USD. So AED on the COT side, we have it going long. Uh, Even though, keep this in mind, there's still positions pushing it short, but overall, long seems to be good, and overall, there's 72%, you know, liquidity to the long side. And I like the fact that these guys, non-commercials, are pointing short. So that's good. That's something very, very good in this regard. Um, let's see what USD have. USD is also pointing long. These guys are going short, even though we have that. So USD also long, and GBP also long, but we don't have that on this side. So okay, right, uh, GBP long. So is there any other asset anyone wants me to look? Okay, Nasdaq. You do love this Nasdaq. Keep in mind, Nasdaq, we do not have a COT report for that. And while I'm looking at COT, let me quickly check COT report for Bitcoin as well. Maybe we might just find a little bit of more volume or buying power coming. Um, these guys are short on Bitcoin at the moment, so um, yeah, they're short on Bitcoin at the moment. So I don't even know what the heck is micro Bitcoin. I'm presuming it's Bitcoin as well, but it's just people trading in micro lots. Yeah, it's most likely people trading in micro lots. Just trying to wrap my head around this Bitcoin one. Just give me 2 seconds. Um, okay, so we these guys are most of it. The Bitcoin position anyway in this one, actually they have it on long, not short. Uh, they have it on long while these guys are going short on Bitcoin. They took out some positions from the long aspect, added a little bit of positions to the short, but overall they're still long compared to short. Yeah, okay, no problem. But this is not enough volume for me to dive into Bitcoin yet. That being said, now because of you requested for AD USD and GBP USD, all of this is going long. Now we have three assets pointing towards the direction that we want to go. Overall, this by itself could mean a little bit of challenge in the trade. There could be a slight amount of challenge in the trade because if GBP is going long, USD is going long, AD is going long, the combination of USD, GBP, GBP USD, or AUD USD, for example, the combination of it is going to be um, slightly weird. So it's kind of like may the best man win kind of scenario we're in. And I'm going to come to Nasdaq in a second. Just give me a little while I look at this. So what I would normally do in this type of situation is To quickly give me a, which one would be good and which one would be bad, I can quickly look into uh I can quickly look into the probability, and then also look into the seasonality. But let me look into the probability first. If we have a good probability chance, then if I look into the seasonality, we might find maybe a move. One might be better than the other, which then can give us access to trading against the other. If not, I just tend to observe the asset because I figured it's much safer than me being in the middle of two assets fighting each other. So from the bat, looking at AUD USD, I mean, it's doing something I don't like, which is 50-50, 56, then 54, 52. So it's going against each other like that. I don't really like that. So for that reason, automatically, I just disqualify AUD USD. That's something I would trade. You know, I'd rather be on the safer side. And the main reason I like to have these assets on 3 days moving in the same direction is in case the first day fails, you got the second, and if the second day fails, the third day is most likely not going to fail. So far you have a good entry on your first day, your first trading day that you go into the market, and there's a reasonable amount of gap on your stop loss. By the time you get back to day three, you should swing back into your perfect position. And that's what happened with GBP USD. That's why I said I traded it. I was going on a trip, so I didn't even look at it. I've been on a trip since last week. So I didn't really look at the asset. And just right now, inside this webinar, that's when I looked at it on my phone and I saw that, oh, I'm actually in profit. So which is good. It's good for me on that trade. I didn't really tighten my stop loss or something like that. So I didn't really get graded or anything. But it's a good amount of position for me. So that being said, let me look at this GBP So GBP looks like we have 1 day buy, 2 day sell, then 1 day buy, 1 day sell. Not my favorite. Okay, not really my favorite type of setup, to be quite frank. It's tradable, but the fact that we're at this time of the year, I won't want to risk anything right now because I really want to finish the year on a high note. And I told you November this year was really a very tough one for me in trading because um, the way the market moved. Even though I did make some money out of it, it was the lowest percentage I had this year compared to every other month this year. So I don't want anything that would dent my portfolio before finishing the year. So for that reason, I won't even touch GBP USD neither. EuroCAD. Okay. Right. So EuroCAD, we have 100% day here. Now, the thing with 100% days is this, right? We already had one that failed this year, right? This 100% days record some of them are mainly from like 15, 20 years ago. So after market move in a specific direction 100% for 20 years. And EuroCAD, I'm not sure how many years data that we had compiled on this, but I'm pretty sure it's not going to be nothing less than 10 years. So between 10 to 20 years, maybe even 25 years, we're looking at the direction of the market moving. What we can see from this is so far, even through the pandemic in 2019, 2020, EuroCAD seems to have, to have held its ground, and it seems to be 100% buy on the 16th of December. So we might actually have this as a good trade. But keep in mind, there's so much financial instability going on. Not that we have ever had one time that everything is just smooth sailing, but there's so much variables that are not being controlled, and there's so much things being introduced into the market recently. NFTs, metaverse, cryptocurrencies, and people losing jobs in the houses and all of that stuff. New opportunities being created, and a lot of chaos going in the market. This could change. This 100% could change because it's very new. It's a new variable. So for whoever called EuroCAD, you're a genius. Just letting you know, you're smart, very smart. So I don't even need to do much analysis. This for me right here is a trade I would dive into. Yeah, so it's a trade. It's a definite trade I will dive into on the 16th. And the way to trade this thing is, I don't normally just say, just go in on the, at the start of the candle and just buy. No, what I tend to do is I'll evaluate the day before and look for since I'm buying, I'll look for the support region. And when the market open, I wait for price to pull into my support region. Then I buy from there just in case the 100% doesn't happen the way it's meant to happen, or it happens and it doesn't give me that much pips. Maybe only gave me like 10 or 20 pips in that day. So far the market pulls down enough, instead of me making like 10, 20 pips, for example, I could make maybe 20 to 30, 30 to 40 pips on that day because of I'm patient enough to wait for it to pull back against the move first before I go in. So, but apart from that, what I can see in this asset on the 13th, buy, then we have that sell, then we have buy. It's pretty much bullish throughout the entire week. I'm very careful though because of this selling there. I normally like it 3 days in a row, but let's check the COT report for Euro, and then let's check the COT report for CAD. Then I'm going to dive into Nasdaq, Euro, and then yeah. And bro, with the way that you're into Nasdaq recently, man, you need to send me my cut on Nasdaq to know, you should be doing some Christmas giveaways for me on Nasdaq, because that asset, I think that asset does pay you a lot of money. I'm just saying though. Right. So with the euro, what we can see, it's sell. These guys are going by. That's good enough for me. Even though we do have a massive volume also pointing buy, so there's kind of a slight disconnect in there, but it's all good. So euro short. So now, because euro is short, we can actually trade it against AUD, USD, or GBP if we find an asset that's aligned with it. But I won't do that analysis right now. So what we can also do is check CAD. CAD is also going short. Right. I don't like the way this is looking already. So CAD is also going short. What we can do to finalize what we should do is probably check the seasonality on euro and then check the seasonality on CAD and see which one is meant to gain a little bit of strength, which one is meant to lose a little bit of strength. If we find one losing strength around this period of time, we'll most likely short against that asset. Okay, so 12 right here. So this is where we are right now. We're right here and we're about to get in here, about here. So between the 13th and the 14th, euro is meant to lose strength. Now, if you remember when we checked the probability, where is it? Right here. It's showing us euro normally should gain strength, against the CAD. So that being said, Euro CAD, from looking at it from a Euro perspective, I wouldn't touch it until the 100% day, which is 100% long. And that's 16th. And that's like Thursday. So what I would look for in this case is I'm going to look into CAD and try to see if I can find CAD also losing strength around this period. If CAD does lose strength, which looks like that's what's happening, then yeah, we're right around here in CAD. Then Euro CAD might actually be traded down. No, might actually be traded up actually, because CAD is also losing strength. So the ideal consensus is CAD losing more strength than Euro, which means that we can buy Euro CAD. Okay. Yeah. So with Euro CAD, right now, don't quote me on this. This is slightly riskier than what I normally would do, but you should be able to dive into EuroCAD just on the mere fact that CAD is meant to lose strength as well, and you can dive into that on the 13th, which is tomorrow. So, but let me quickly check. Yeah. So, ideally, what we want to see now is we can dive in somewhere around here. Uh, somewhere around here would be a good place if I wanted to go in, to dive in, into this asset and buy it. Now, if you're looking at the seasonality, also one thing I normally like to do to be very sure, especially in an asset I'm not sure, is I want to see if the price has been following either or, the euro or the CAD. If price has been following these assets in regards to the seasonality, then I feel more comfortable to trade it. If price hasn't been following the seasonality, I feel very less comfortable to trade that asset. So from the third, Euro CAD is meant to go up because CAD is losing strength. So if that happened, then I might be a little bit more comfortable trading this asset fully. So from what I can see right here on the third, it happened on the third, but then immediately after it loses strength, which wasn't what this was showing us. It showed that the third to the fourth, you can see from the third to the fourth, you can see that slight drop. And then there's a little bit of pullback on the 15 years. On the 40 years, look like a slight curve to about sixth. And on the 5 years, it does look like it just looks like it's going like a 90-degree angle. So definitely it did give a sort of warning, a very tiny warning to the fifth, but that wasn't sufficient for all of this move. And that was meant to even end on the fifth, which was the weekend. So given that it happened on this day, this wasn't sufficient to happen here. So for that reason alone, I am going to be very, very careful. If you can, especially at the time of the year we're in December, if you can, stay away from it. Stay away. If you can't and you need to risk, you can go into it, but keep in mind, it might not go in your direction. And that's what trading is about anyway. You lose some, you win some. Someone just wrote on my screen. Can you please delete if you can? Thank you. Um, so that's one thing I'll be very careful of. You can try to trade this, but I would classify it as high risk. So same asset again, Euro CAD, 13th, one long. I'm gonna put it at super high risk. If you can't trade it, if you can't, I say don't trade it. Risk. But the good thing is you have this day that looks like 100%. And I've already explained the best way for you to approach this day. So you can do that and do it, and you might be very successful with this trade actually by the end of this year. So in that case, we're gonna do till Friday. So the whole week. So if everything goes good, you might probably have this trade and probably exit somewhere around here, doing a double top somewhere around here, maybe 200 plus pips. That's a possibility. That being said, we don't have that much time, so I'm just gonna go straight into Nasdaq. Now with the Nasdaq, you already know the drill. We do not have any seasonality and probability data. We do not have any COT report data. So this is already super high risk already. And as I said, next year from January, we should have new asset coming into the probability. So we have new probabilities coming up, not new seasonalities, but new probabilities coming up. And maybe Nasdaq might be one of them. I think S&P 500 might be one of them as well. And some few other assets. I know Tesla is in there. I know Facebook is in there. Apple is in there. So those are some of the assets. If you're trading stocks, you might want to, look into. And if you have any suggestions or any probability you want, on the website, please let me know, and I would also look into that before we launch it. It's better we do that before it's launched, because once it's launched and then you request for something, it's very much difficult to then start getting people to get back on that for me. So it's best I do everything right now and get that over and done with. Okay. On the 12th, that's where we are right now. So we're right here. Bro, leave this alone. Just leave the asset alone. It doesn't look clear. It doesn't look clear at any point. There's no clear roadmap at the moment. No, I would ideally leave this alone. Probably, yeah, I'll leave this alone for the rest of the year. Yeah, there isn't any point. I wouldn't want to risk it because there isn't that much alignment in this asset. So I would let it be for the rest of the year. For the rest of the year, just let it go and do whatever it needs to do. Okay, that would be my own recommendation. But if you do have any other way that you approach the market on this, I would be glad to know about it. If you can enlighten me on that, that would be great. But from what I can see right here from the seasonality, I would just let it be. I'll leave it alone. I'll let it do whatever it needs to do. Okay, so with that, I'm just gonna let that slide. And then someone told me to look at AUD CAD. We already looked at CAD short, AUD long. Okay. Um, let's see what probability has to say about AUD CAD. Literally have 6 minutes. Okay. You're welcome, bro. My pleasure. Anytime. Um, we have 6 minutes, so I can quickly scan through the AUD CAD, and if we have a good alignment on the probability, then we're good. So similar kind of probability for AUD CAD. You have 2 days going up, then 1 day down, and 1 day up and then down. I mean, not 3 days that I would like, so it's gonna go in the high risk section anyway. And a lot of people might be like, oh, why is most of your trades classified high risk? The qualification for low risk is the asset COT is pointing in the direction that I want it to. Seasonality is pointing in the same direction. Probability is pointing in the same direction. Williams spread is pointing in the same direction, and that gives me a lower probability, lower trade classification. Okay, just so you know. So with this one, COT is pointing in the same direction. Seasonality, in a way, is pointing in the same direction for CAD, but probability isn't looking the way I want it to look. So automatically it's classified as high risk, and I haven't even checked Williams yet because I haven't loaded the chart yet. So for that reason, already it's looking like a high risk trade anyway. So let's look into the AUD seasonality and see what we can find. Okay. So from the AUD seasonality as well, what you can see is AUD is meant to lose strength, right? So AUD is meant to lose strength. Even though the COT report of AUD is saying long, AUD is losing strength on the seasonality. So I'm going to be very careful with this asset. I'm going to be extremely, extremely careful with this asset. Let's see what the asset is, where it is. Okay, it's right here. Yeah. So AUD looks like it's gaining strength. Like throughout last week, literally, this was a good asset to trade last week. Yeah, it did get quite a reasonable amount of strength last week. How many pips? 148 pips. Okay, it's fair. 148 pips last week going up. But what we're seeing from probability is to continue the same move. From the COT report, it looks like it's going to continue the same move, but the seasonality doesn't really abide by those same rules. So, coupled with the fact that it's around a resistance, it's literally around resistance right here. Just don't double bottom here. So it could be a support on resistance right now, and this could literally shoot all the way back here before it breaks to the upside. So I would be very careful with this one. If you can avoid it, avoid it. If you can't, if you can't avoid it, then your entry date might be tomorrow. Your entry date might be tomorrow. And if you want to really trade it, which is not my recommendation, but no, I do not walk in Wall Street, so I don't have inside information. So if you want to trade it, I would say you should wait to somewhere around here. Wait for it to pull back a little bit, at least, to give you a little bit of security right here. And then from there, you can trade it. And even if I look at, yeah, oh, look, beautiful. So now even looking at it from the perspective of the EMAs, you can see what's about to happen. And even the William already told us buy is coming, and the buy came. So William is already pointing short now. So I will be very, very careful with this asset, and couple the fact that it just literally broke through the 20 EMA. It was about to hit the 50 on a daily, and the 50 is right here on a daily, and I think another EMA is right there on the 4 hours. Yeah, so it's about to hit the 200. So once it's done with the 200, it's going to hit the 50. So most likely your best level of security is right here, where the 20 and the 50 is on the 4 hours. So I would literally wait for price to come back somewhere around here before I even start looking to trade this asset, at least to get some support, some dynamic support from the EMAs. Okay, so that's all we have time for today, guys. I'm really glad you guys can join me, and we did have a little bit of technicalities when we started this. As I said, I'm not in my place at the moment, so I quickly had to rush and try to get this done. So I wish you guys the best trading weeks to come. If you want to trade, and if you have to trade, as I said, gold will be the most one that I'll be looking at this week. Then you know, uh, from what I can see, it doesn't really look like it's going to do much. So I'll wait till next week. If you have to trade, you can trade Euro CAD on 100% day, which is on 16th of 12. You can trade that long, or you can go in from to tomorrow. But be very careful when you trade in this asset. So God bless you all, guys. And if you have any questions, message me on Telegram, and we'll catch up right there. Okay. Take good care of yourself and have a lovely Christmas to come. All right. Bye. Okay.